Oh man, Bitcoin is breaking out right now. As you can see, this is an emergency video because Bitcoin is trying to break a critical neckline here on what was a rejection from a double bottom pattern, but is still back in play. I'm going to share with you the exact price target from this move, plus a huge article shared by CryptoQuant where they expect Bitcoin to get to 160k in 2024. We're going to break down the 6 key factors which they think will propel Bitcoin to 160k in a powerful bull market in 2024. Now, starting with the short term, guys, if you appreciate type of updates, smash up the likes. Do not forget to subscribe. We are actively trading in this market. IjazCrypto.com/TG. Yes, some people are switching off for the new year, but the crypto market never sleeps, and I'm actively taking trades as we speak in this market because the crypto market is always available for us to make some gains. Now, the neckline here was at this level here. I posted this yesterday, 43.3. And you saw exactly what we spoke about, us getting rejected from the neckline, right? This is a double bottom pattern. Very common for us to get rejected, and we got that. But what do you notice thereafter? You notice a higher low. Here's a low, here's a higher low. So this maintains an uptrend, and now what you end up having, some people can call this an Adam and Eve pattern, right? It's still a bullish pattern suggesting that we want to break out. And you can literally see the 4-hourly candle we are on right now is the candle trying to break out. But you guys have to be very, very patient on any breakout like this. By the way, guys, if you haven't worked for my TA course, IjazCrypto.com/TA, you will learn all this kind of stuff. Like, one of the most typical things here is waiting for this, right? Look at this candlestick here. What do you notice? On that candlestick right here, it looked exactly like what we're getting here. Right? When that candle was playing out before it closed, it looked exactly like the candle playing out here, which I'm sharing the video on right now. But what happens? The bears step in and liquidate everybody who's being an overzealous long, because it's very common. I mean, we're not geniuses here seeing the double bottom pattern, right? Everybody can see that. They go in the textbook and they see double bottom pattern, right? Any TikTok trader can do that. And so what the more experienced traders do is they sit there and they short you, and they would have got a whole bunch of liquidity there. They would have stole it there, and they've done the same here. You can see from this wick. And again, I teach all this in my TA course. But so this pull down here wasn't a surprise. But then what do you notice? This candle here, you notice, is almost like a dragonfly candle. It's got a very big lower wick, which shows that, hang on, the bears tried to push it to the downside, but the bulls said, oh, no. We want to create a higher low. We don't want to go down to where we went down here. See this doji here? We reversed. See this doji here? And we go reverse. So now it's the same issue again. Just like this candle, just like this candle as well, can we actually get a candle body close above the neckline? Now, when I trade these types of moves, not only do I wait for a candlestick to break through, I wait for the next candle to open up in the green, and then I'll start laddering in my position. Now, the even nicer way to do it is ladder in part of your position, and then you wait for what is known as a retest, right? A lot of you, if you're experienced, you know that there's a retest where the price moves to the upside, retest what was resistance, which is the neckline, and turns it into support. And once it turns it into support, the validation of your trade now goes up by tenfold, right? The probability that you're onto a winner trade once you've seen a retest really does pick up. But you've got to time it to get in, right? And that's why sometimes I like to ladder in my position on the confirmation candle, ladder in some more after retest, and then I get my position locked and loaded for the trade to the upside. So that's what I'm looking for here on Bitcoin, a candle close and onwards. Now, what are the risks? The risks are we just get another candle just like this and just like this, right? Which is where later on in this 4-hourly candle, we still have 2.5 hours at the time of recording for this 4-hourly candle to close, that it just wicks down and we get rejected here back to the downside. And when we get rejected back to the downside, it doesn't mean that the move is over. No, it just means that if the price creates a lower high, somewhere like here, lower than this high, then we're in trouble. Right? If we can rotate another higher high like so, great, we're still on, because what do you guys notice? All that would form would be a triangle, right? You'd be forming some sort of a triangle up towards the neckline. So as long as you can stay contained in that triangle, you're keeping a move to the upside where the neckline is still getting ambushed. It's still getting attacked in a bullish manner. The bears will want to force it down and push it lower than the previous low. They want to go like something like this and start trending it to the downside to give it a proper rejection away from danger as far as the bears are concerned. So that's what we're looking for. Now, where would the price target of this move take you? Well, I shared with you guys that this is a powerful move, and this powerful reversal pattern could take you as far up as 45.7. Now, why is 45.7 significant? Because we know its longer term resistance is a very key level on the longer term chart, and we know it's going to act like resistance as well. But even more importantly, it's a higher high. Yes, you see this high here where we got rejected? We managed to get as high as 44.7. This time, if we can post higher, that is really good for Bitcoin's upwards trend here. So that's something we're watching out for here on a technical basis is, can we break this pattern? Can we get that higher high? And can we keep this trend moving to the upside? Like I shared again in yesterday's video, we are currently riding nicely off this EMA ribbon. But this only works if we get that higher high. This only works if this W pattern breaks out, we get a higher high like so, come back down, go back up, and keep working our way in an upwards direction with higher highs and higher lows. What we don't want to see here is us just curl over again. That then shows that we're in a downward trend. You can see that, right? The peaks are going downwards. That's a lower high situation moving us to the downside. So that's what I'm seeing immediately in the charts. And again, if you want up-to-date insights, ijazcrypto.com/TG. But now we need to cover off a very important story. And this was released by CoinDesk, and it was from an interview done with CryptoQuant, one of the biggest on-chain analysts in the space. And they're widely expecting $160,000 Bitcoin in 2024. And I'm going to break down exactly why they think this is the case and what they think could be the key catalyst. And the key catalysts are as follows. They think that we argue that Bitcoin and crypto markets could have a positive year in 2024 based on 1, the market valuation cycle. 2, network activity. They're seeing network activity start to pick up. 3, which everybody knows, is the Bitcoin halving. 4, the macroeconomic perspective. Remember, we've spoken about this. I think this is one of the primary drivers. This and the Bitcoin spot ETF plus the halving are the 3 key ones in my opinion, right? We know we've got the spot ETF coming. Everybody's super excited about that. We know that interest rates are cutting next year, right? We saw the FOMC in the Fed meeting last week. They're pricing in at least 3 cuts next year. Like, ooh, from one of the steepest rate hiking cycles to now seeing the light at the end of the tunnel that we could be cutting. That is a huge positive catalyst for crypto. And the final one after the Bitcoin spot ETF is they're saying number 6 is a growing stablecoin liquidity. And this is very important. If we do not have growing liquidity in stablecoins, we don't have any on-ramps to people getting into crypto. So seeing that liquidity increase across stablecoins, USDC, USDT, Tether, both those stablecoins have done a great job through the bear market, not just surviving, but thriving and growing. And now we can head into a bull market where people have good access to stablecoin liquidity, which is going to be very important for the next cycle. And so if we take a look at this, they say on-chain valuation and network metrics signal Bitcoin remains well inside a bull market and may be targeting 54,000 in the medium term and 160,000 as the cycle price top. So this is very interesting. So if we take a look at this from a weekly chart perspective, let's take a look at this and see where does that 54 price target sit. Because one thing we do know is Bitcoin is going to struggle around this level, right? You'd see this level here around that 48,000 is where the Bitcoin dump started in March of 2022. So we know that naturally once we get to those kinds of levels around 48, it's going to be very hard. It's going to take some while. Maybe we stall for a little bit, but perhaps a spot ETF approval could give us the catalyst we need to just break through that 48,000 and work our way up towards the next resistance. And the next major resistance really comes all the way up at the 69,000, right? You can start working your way to all-time highs. So their price target of 54 sits in between those levels, no clear resistance structure at that price point. And look, we can achieve that. There's a bit of resistance at 48, but it can achieve 54,000. Let's jump back in to see what else they had to weigh in on. And you can see this. Bitcoin has historically rallied after its halving event, which automatically decreases the supply of new coins in the open market, and traders are likely pricing in the event that's scheduled for April 2024. So the halving we know is programmed, right? There's no concern around the halving. We know it's going to happen. The more concern is how much of this current price action, this recent price action, is priced in based on the spot ETF. So like I said, I don't think all of the pump we've seen here recently, getting Bitcoin now to where it is solely based on the spot ETF, right? I think, like I said, it's based on the halving. It's based on also the macroeconomic condition that we should start loosening monetary policy in 2024 as well. So if we play this forward, if the spot ETF does get rejected, if on January the SEC kicked the can down the road, which would be a shock to market, I think we will see some red in the market, but I don't think it's going to be a catastrophe. I think this is more just about when, not if, a Bitcoin spot ETF gets approved. So yes, it will upset markets if it doesn't get approved in January. There's many, figures like Mike Novogratz congrats from Galaxy Digital coming out and saying, yeah, we think it's going to get done in the next 30 days. And there's a lot of excitement. Bitwise did their Bitcoin spot ETF ad. We're seeing a lot of excitement around this, right? A lot of S1 filings as well from the likes of BlackRock and Van Eck. But at the same time, we have to understand that if it does get kicked down the road again, which Gary Gensler, nothing will surprise me. If he does that, then we need to be ready for a little bit of pain. And again, for me, that's going to provide me with opportunities to DCA, right? If we get a dump because the Bitcoin spot ETF gets delayed, everyone's going to be upset. Fear and greed index is going to notch down. The price is going to dump. And I'm going to take out my wallet and I'm going to buy me some more. Because for me, it's inevitability. They can keep finding excuses for why they're not going to prove the Bitcoin spot ETF. But it's a matter of time, right? They got Grayscale knocking on their door and suing them that they can't convert their GBTC into a spot Bitcoin ETF. You got BlackRock knocking on the door, Van Eck, you got Wisdom Tree, you've got all of these guys, Arc Innovation, knocking on the door. It's just a matter of time before Gary Gensler goes, I've delayed this as much as I possibly can. It's but an inevitability now. So I would sit here and I'd be looking to buy the dip if we do get any delays in January and push to the downside. And I think that'll be a great opportunity for me to get some good DCAs, which could prove to maybe be some of the best last few buys we could get before we get a charge up towards the halving and on towards the all-time high. And this is a very important point as well, which is what Michael Saylor said in a CNBC interview. It's not unreasonable to suggest that this might be the biggest development on Wall Street in 30 years, says Michael Saylor in a CNBC interview. So he's comparing this to 30 years ago. There was a new product that was launched known as the S&P ETF. And we now know how widely spread this is and how much money flows into ETFs across the world. But this was the first. And what Saylor is saying, this is a landmark. This is a landmark if a spot Bitcoin ETF gets approved. That really does set a precedent. And it's a huge milestone, not just for Bitcoin, he's saying, but for Wall Street as a whole. Traders also expect the US Federal Reserve to lower interest rates in 2024 as inflation has continued to decline and lower rates have historically been conducive to large bets. Guys, all of this to say that things are really starting to line up for us. We've been through this bear market. We've seen tough times. We've seen everything collapsing and people questioning crypto. And now nobody's got anything bad to say. Network activity is looking strong. Stablecoin demand is looking strong. Oh, we're going to get a spot ETF. Oh, look, interest rates are coming down because inflation is now under control. Things are really starting to look rosy and dandy now. And so my job right now in this type of a market when nobody can put a foot wrong is go, hang on, we are entering a bull market, right? We are now leaving that bear market behind where everything is negative and doom and gloom and we look at the worry wall and everything is horrible to now saying, okay, now the FOMO is coming in. Now we're in the FOMO side of it where everyone is saying positive things and then you get caught off guard with what? A correction. And so my mindset going into the new year and early parts of January, say, okay, I'm ready. I'm locked and loaded. I'm in the market. If the market wants to skyrocket up, we get the Bitcoin spot ETF and everything is going to the upside, great. But what if we correct? And if we correct, my game plan is followed. I need to make sure I don't panic, right? And panicking comes from a lack of conviction. So if you've just entered crypto now and you bought Bitcoin at 43,000 and then we get a correction down towards 35, 37 range, you're going to panic. You're going to panic because you don't have conviction and you don't know what you're doing. So the first thing to protect you against panic selling in a correction is to make sure you have that conviction. And the next thing which really helps, and this is again, not financial advice based on what you want to do, but I know personally for me, I want to be prepared not just to not panic, but to buy the dip. If we do fall to those 37,000, you got to remember that 37,000 Bitcoin right now is not the same as buying Bitcoin at 25,000 just a year ago. No, because you've got more certainty. You've got more direction in terms of what the Fed are doing, in terms of stablecoin liquidity, in terms of all the things we've been discussing here around a spot ETF. So you can't cry over what the price used to be. You need to make a decision today based on your conviction of where you think the price is going to go in the next bull run. So for me, making sure I've got around 10% cash on the sidelines and trying to top that up as much as possible so that if we do get a little bit of a crash, I'm ready to deploy, I'm ready to nibble and add to my bags. But if we don't, I'm good. The majority of my portfolio is locked and loaded, and off we go. Now, if you guys want to actively trade, you can join our community, ijazcrypto.com/TG. I share my altcoin analysis, trade patterns, and how I actively trade, what my strategy is. So jump in there. Hope to see a bunch of you guys in there. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.